This is the most important video I'll ever make. Your success, what people think of you, and where you are in life is made up almost entirely of your habits. Habits are the things that you do without even thinking about it. What does the day of an athlete look like? They'll get up early, have a healthy breakfast, maybe go for a morning run. They'll get good recovery, have a second training session, avoid alcohol, and get an early night's sleep. Due to all of this work, they can be great in their sport, which leads to success and achievement. So what does a day look like for someone that's unsuccessful? Wake up, go on their phone, scroll social media, go to a job or studies that they're not interested in. This is what you do when you're not taking care of yourself. So you can see that what you do with your time totally corresponds to what you get in terms of achievement. I can't stress this enough. Anything you want to become can be changed solely based on your habits. What you should know is that there's universal good and bad habits. It should be your focus to be as towards the side of good as you can. If you want a better mind, body, and life, don't go anywhere. Let's begin. Good habits are things that you can get better at over time that make other people respect you and make you respect yourself. Let me give the most obvious example, which is exercise. Exercise is the fundamental good habit. It makes you look better, it makes you live longer, it makes you healthier and more confident. When you go to the gym, you're trying to put more weight on the bar every time you go. It's the perfect analogy for self-improvement. Let's go further into exercise. Physical and mental health are so hand in hand. Slowly building yourself to the version you want to become is such a powerful thing, and when you see it happening in the mirror, it will happen in your mind as well. Basically, any facet of life you can think of is improved when you have a better body. There's something called the halo effect, which suggests that better looking people get treated better, get more opportunities, just makes everything easier. And your physique is probably the easiest way that you can improve your attractiveness. Take the opposite of this, someone that is inactive, not happy with their body. Every time you look in the mirror, you're going to be disappointed with yourself, and you're going to have those self-limiting beliefs about how you're not attractive or not where you should be, and that stems from not working out and not putting in the effort that you should do. So whatever form of exercise you can do that. If you want to lift weights, if you want to play sports, if you want to do running, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're active, make sure you're in shape. That's the fundamental good habit. And if we're talking about exercise, we have to talk about diet. There's never been a phrase truer than you are what you eat. This is very true in the fitness sense, where overeating and getting unhealthy food will make you overweight. Also, undereating protein will make it harder to build muscle. The other downsides of bad food is brain fog and lack of mental clarity. It's a night and day difference when you're eating home cooked food, which is full of nutrition, versus fast food, which is unhealthy, packed full of shit. I won't waste your time. I'll just give you some quick diet advice. Eat high protein, get fruit and veg, eat whole foods and home cooked meals. Avoid microwave meals like ready meals and getting loads of takeout. Don't starve yourself and don't overfeed yourself. Educate yourself as much as you can about diet and exercise, and this will transform your life on its own. And for some guidance on this, I have a free email list in the description below where I'll give you free tips on how to improve. The third habit is reading. It was a little over 2 years ago when I first got into the self-improvement space, and what I heard from a lot of creators was stuff about reading. But growing up, and especially from school, I never saw the point of reading. The books they make you read in school are pretty pointless. It's stuff like Shakespeare that's just hard to understand. Because of this, reading just wasn't a habit that I developed. But because of all the creators in the space, I decided to look into some non-fiction books. Now this is the first book that I ever read. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. The book covers loads of topics about how to have more interesting conversations and to meet new people. As soon as I started reading, I totally understood the hype. Books are such a practical way to get knowledge, and you will understand way more from reading a book than you will from watching YouTube videos or any other way. And because a book takes so much intention and time to read, your mind focuses on it a lot more. So whatever goal you're trying to achieve by reading that book, it's more likely to happen because you're spending more time thinking about it. As soon as I started to enjoy reading, it replaced things like doom scrolling and social media. Especially before going to sleep, it was a ritual for me to brush my teeth and then sit down with a book for 20 minutes before going to bed. I now have a whole stack of great books that I've read, and they've completely changed my life. Reading is one of those 10 out of 10 habits where if you haven't considered it before, look at some self-improvement books, see which ones you think could help you, and buy one. I promise you'll never look back. The next habit is meditation. Meditation's a weird one because I'd heard about it through my teens, but I'd never quite understood it. I saw it as a bit of a mystical thing that these spiritually enlightened people do. I remember sitting down trying to meditate, but nothing happened, and I just assumed it didn't work. Now, after making it a habit for years, I finally understand it. The point of meditation is to increase your mindfulness. The goal isn't to have no thoughts in your brain while meditating. The goal is to get thoughts, but return your mind to your breath. I'll explain my process step by step. I used to put some pillows on the floor to make it more comfortable. Now I have a beanbag. I then play some quiet meditation music on Spotify. I set a timer on my laptop, and I aim to meditate for 10 minutes every time. I'll then sit down cross-legged, and I'll focus on my breath. During this time, you'll get thoughts pop into your head. You have to notice that you're having a thought, and then just Return your thought to your breath. Now, you're not going to notice anything for the first days or weeks that you try this, but what it does is increase your baseline dopamine and attention span. Because you're essentially becoming comfortable being bored, doing boring tasks like work becomes way more fun. Originally, you might want to grab your phone or just stop entirely, but every time you keep on going, you're increasing your attention span and your willpower. Again, meditation may seem silly, but don't knock it till you try it, it works wonders. The next is learning a skill. The amount of skills that can be learned is basically endless. One of the things that I do is music. I play some guitar and piano, I DJ, I also make music in my own time, and this is something that's great for social life. The best way to meet people is through mutual interests. If you have something like DJing, you can meet other people who DJ or get new people into it. It gives you something to do together, so having interests like that is great. A lot of interests can also be monetized if you get good at them. Music is an obvious example. You can play local shows and you have the ability to blow up and go worldwide. You can also have a sport which is classed as a skill. I'm currently doing jiu-jitsu and I've done boxing for a long time. There's gyms all over the world, so you can travel around and train at those gyms, and it's an awesome way, again, to meet people. And there's so many skills. You can learn languages, you can learn to juggle. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. Learning skills is a great way to spend time. Building a business. This is something more advanced in your journey, but I'll give you some ideas about how this works. A business is where you make money from providing value to people. So you can develop a skill like video editing and then sell it to people online. If you have a real world skill, you can also start an in-person business. Business is great because it allows you to make money, develop your skills. It also allows you to meet people and provide services. Even right now, I'm working on my YouTube channel. This is my own business. From this, I sell products like online training, making it a great use of my time. The internet is our version of the gold rush. This is something that didn't even exist 30 years ago, and now countless people are retiring their families and making wealth for themselves. It's such a great opportunity for you to be able to work while traveling or doing whatever you love, and there's so much content. Whatever business model you want to get into, you can watch videos on it, practice it by yourself, and put in the work to become good at it. So learning a skill and monetizing it into a business is one of the most fantastic ways you can spend your time and one of the best habits to have. A lot of the things I've said so far is work that you can do on yourself. However, one of the greatest joys in life is having other people that are similar to you, that you love, around you. If you think about the greatest moments of your life and the most valuable time you spent, it's probably time you've spent with others. Time enjoyed is not time wasted, and social interactions is one of the key drivers of happiness. Anytime you can meaningfully invest into your friendships and relationships is time well spent. If you also have people which are on your level in terms of goals, that's even better. If you have friends to go to the gym with, for example, it can make it way more fun and it can make you both more consistent. If you have someone you usually go to the gym with and they're not taking a rest day but you are, it can motivate you to get in there. Obviously, rest days are sometimes good, but if you're just sort of procrastinating, not wanting to get in there, having someone else that is, it will drive you. And going to the gym by yourself is awesome, but a lot of the time you're just listening to music, sort of in your own zone. When you're training with someone, you can push each other, talk to each other. It makes the whole thing way more enjoyable. If your love life and your family life is also good, this is invaluable. Your family is your greatest base of support. It's the people that are always going to be there for you. Anytime you can spend helping them and giving back to them is extremely fulfilling. And a romantic partner is going to influence your life and your state of mind more than anyone. Likewise, when you have a partner which supports your goals, your progress towards that thing will go up massively. It's like having someone helping you carry a heavy object instead of you trying to carry it by yourself. So any sort of networking, meeting new people, any time spent helping family or others, or time invested in your relationship is a great investment in yourself. The next habit is time in nature. Hey gang, this is Kai from the past recording this segment, and I'm currently scripting this video. I'm currently sat in my room, but I realised I'm about to talk about nature when I had this sort of nature 10 minutes away. So I'm going to finish scripting this video with a view. I truly find nature to be one of the most calming, comforting things that I do. And what's alarming is that there's people that spend so little time in nature. When have you ever been on holiday, lying down on a sunny beach and had all these negative, stressful thoughts in your head? It doesn't really happen. Being outside does something to you which is so different from being in your room. Even if you live in a city, just being outside, getting the sun on your face is such a lovely experience. I went for a walk before this video, which you just saw. I had multiple awesome conversations with people that walk in the same trail as me, people walking their dog, and it felt amazing. One excuse I don't want to hear is that there's no nature near you. Even if you don't think it's going to be anything crazy, just getting out and going somewhere new can unlock an amazing new world of potential. I guarantee there's things around you which you don't even know exist. When I moved to the city that I'm currently in, I saw it like a massive GTA map. If you've ever played video games like GTA or Skyrim, at the start the map is completely blank, but the more you travel around, the more spots you unlock. I was interested in filling out this map because I saw it as a way to unlock new adventure. Most people have their school or work, their gym, and maybe a few other spots that they know. However, there's so many areas in between which you think have nothing there, but then you go there there and it's actually awesome. So be that person that knows all the things going on around you. And if you have a habit like morning walks, walking after you eat, which helps digestion, or you become that person that works outside instead of in your room, your productivity and happiness will go up in ways you probably wouldn't expect. So get out and appreciate nature. Something that's underrated that I want to talk about is admin. What I mean is the tasks that you can't really avoid and that need to be done. So that's things like tidying your room, going food shopping, going for haircuts. It basically comes down to chores and planning. Chores need to get done, so it's better to do them before they need doing immediately. Say you leave food shopping a bit too late and then you have a really busy couple of days. This makes it more likely that you're going to get ready meals and takeaway. So because you've pushed off the task, it makes everything else worse and a bit more stressful. Therefore, getting all the things that need to be done are very handy. Onto the planning side. Something I do is plan for the upcoming week and plan for tomorrow. At around 9 PM, I'll sit down and write all the things that I want to get done for tomorrow. I might say that I want to script, record, and edit a long video, or I might write down some errands I need to get done. At any time during the day, I can look at the note that I made and be sure that I'm getting on with whatever I wrote down. Having a weekly note is also awesome because it gives you bigger goals. You can achieve more in a week than you can in a day, so writing something a bit ambitious is really handy. You can say that you want to learn an entire song on guitar. You can say that you want to make 4 videos. This will give you consistency, so even if you work hard for one day, you can't slack off for the rest of the week. There's a quote which says, 1 minute in planning is worth 10 minutes in execution. Basically, if you spend 6 minutes planning what you do tomorrow, it can save you an hour the next day. Because you're not sitting there wondering, what should I be doing, what's the important tasks? You've done it the previous day already, you've planned it with a clear head, and you've picked something ambitious. This means that you can have a massive jump in your productivity, getting straight to the task rather than wondering what to do. The final habit is self-expansion. This is a more broad concept, where it's basically things that develop you as a person. It's things like experiences, travel, something that is broadening your horizons and shaping what you can do. If you want to spend 2 months traveling a certain country, the amount of experiences that you're going to have is invaluable. This also shapes you in a person, and changing your surroundings is one of the most powerful things you can do on self-improvement. This also includes things that make you more capable, things like getting your driving license. This can afford you way more opportunities, it allows you to explore more, get more done. You're getting a return on investment. Basically, you're investing your time and you're getting something out of it. So self-expansion either grows you as a person or allows you to do new things. So that's the first section, but what about the bad habits? This one is easier because there's less of them. If you eliminate these few bad habits, it will have more of an effect than adding loads of new things. And if you don't have bad habits, you'll have so much more free time that you'll naturally seek out the good things. Most bad habits are just not doing the good habits. So not exercising, having a bad diet, getting bad sleep, etc. A lot of them just boil down to procrastination, but here are the habits that are actively bad. Number 1, social media. I believe social media is one of the biggest problems that we face, especially for the upcoming generation. Social media is nothing but a tool. It should be used to make connections and to get information. The whole meme culture that we have, and also the culture of comparison, is messing up our mental health beyond repair. The amount of people living their lives online is ridiculous, and I've had friendships and relationships be affected from social media use. I truly believe in keeping this to a minimum, and I don't have any social media on my phone. I have Instagram on my laptop, which I will look at occasionally, but I don't use TikTok, Snapchat, or any of these other things. YouTube could also count as a social media. I just say to mainly limit it to educational videos, but if it is for entertainment, then just make sure it's less than an hour or 2 a day. If you want to get to the end of the day and spend an hour in front of the TV, it's not going to kill you. But if you wake up and watch YouTube or are watching it throughout the day, that's a problem. My next video is going to be how to reduce phone use and creating barriers to social media. Set the screen time widget up on your phone. This will allow you to see how much time you're spending on your phone, and it will probably shock you. The average is around 4.5 hours, and that's time you could be spent in nature, reading books, doing so many more productive things, and that's time we just give away every day. Time is money, and we live in an attention economy, so be very careful about how much time you spend on your phone. The second bad habit is drugs. Obviously, this is a spectrum. Having a couple of drinks once a week isn't going to destroy your life like doing crack. But if you wanted to destroy your life as quick as possible, the way to do that would probably be drugs. As for the harder stuff, most of it you should never touch. This is the obvious stuff you'd think of, which is super addictive and can really mess you up. When we're younger, a lot of us are curious, and I do think there's some positives to having an experimental phase. Obviously, you have to be extremely careful with this, as it can go south quickly. When it comes to alcohol, I'm not going to completely demonize it, but obviously keep it to a minimum as much as possible. Nicotine is obviously another massive one, which I've been guilty of myself. When I look back at times in my life when I vaped, I just think, what were you doing? It's so stupid. Like, it's literally flavored air. Come on now, people. With quitting, you have cravings for maybe 3 weeks to a month, and then you're completely back to normal and don't even think about it. Cigarettes are probably worse with the risk of cancer and what it does to your throat and chest. But any sort of nicotine, I just don't really think it's worth it. Anything more than the very occasional cigarette, I think is too much. When it comes to weed and psychedelics, I'm not much of an authority to speak. What I will say is that overdoing anything ain't good for you. I know so many people that are frequent smokers and they just turn into complete couch potatoes. Whenever a substance becomes part of your identity or part of your character, it's gone too far. The third bad habit habit is porn, including the social media stuff. I was born in 2002, one of the first generations to grow up with internet access. I think growing up it was so normal for all of the boys to be watching porn and not knowing about the bad effects. It releases a crazy amount of dopamine, which is the chemical responsible for motivation and mood. We know that when this spikes too often, it just depletes over time and makes our baseline lower. It basically just makes us depressed and unmotivated. It also kills your desire for real relationships and intimacy. Having this need for external stimulation makes it harder to form real connections. It also shapes your identity negatively if it's a regular part of your life. It was only when I was 18 to 19 when I realized it was a bad thing, and now years later it's not a part of my life. If this is still a problem for you, look into it and reduce it over time. It's another one of those things where when you don't do it, you forget it's a thing. Next bad habit, video games. And this kills me to say because I've always loved video games. It was a massive part of my childhood, and up until age 18, I would argue it was actually a good thing for my life. As a child, you don't need to be productive, and having those nights playing with the boys, when you all have that one game that you love playing, there's few feelings like it. I don't even think it's a bad thing if you have friends come over and you hop on a console together, play FIFA, UFC, whatever. The problem with video games is when it gets in the way of you doing the important stuff. If you wake up in the morning and turn on the Xbox, problem. If you're playing for 5 hours a day when you should be doing work, problem. And here's why video games can be pretty killer. In video games, you either have to work for a storyline or level up your character. You're upgrading your guns, upgrading your skills, and getting better at the game. This is motivation which you should have towards the real world. We talked about skills in real life earlier and how you can level them up. When you spend hours a day leveling up your skills in the video game, that's taking dopamine, which you need for real life. That's why playing too many games, especially when you still have stuff to do, can really kill your motivation. This is one where I suggest moderation more than completely hating it and cutting it out, but still be extremely careful about how it affects your mood and productivity. And let's talk about late nights. Every late night for most people looks the exact same. You feel kind of tired, but you can't actually get to sleep. You might be there for 10 minutes trying to close your eyes and sleep, but you just can't concentrate. And then you get your phone out, turn the TV on, and just watch content for hours. How bad is it? Our attention's so bad we can't even focus on going to sleep. In my experience, this problem can be solved with two ways. One, be very busy during the day. If you have a busy schedule through the day, especially if you're doing a lot of exercise, by the time you hit nighttime, it's going to be very tiring. By 11 PM to midnight, you should be ready to hit the hay. The other thing is reducing screen time. If you spend the last 3 hours of your night staring into a screen, it's going to make it harder for you to fall asleep. I'm not going to go into the science too much, but screens have something called blue light, which when you stare at it for too long affects your sleep and concentration. This is why the rule of no screens for an hour before bed works wonders. But just generally, looking at screens less throughout the day will make it easier to sleep. Other things that help are getting sunlight through the day and reading before bed. You can see how the good habits interfuse with each other. So if you start reading, it will make it easier to get better sleep, which makes it easier to put on muscle. They all work in conjunction. The last bad habit to avoid is isolation. This means staying inside and not connecting with others. I said how one of the most important things we have in life is our social connection and also our ability to connect with nature. Nothing makes you feel more lonely and isolated than isolating yourself from others. In our modern day, it's so comfortable to be alive. We can sit in bed all day without fear of anything going wrong. We can go to the local shop and go to self-checkout, not interact with anybody. And because of convenience, this is how a lot of people live. But it's so powerful to have conversations with strangers and to force yourself into new environments. This is how humans are meant to be, interacting with each other and not just staying stationary in one location. It's very important to have community, which is why it's so important to have interests and to put energy into other people. Isolation can come in handy to get you focused on your work when there's distractions going on, but it's important to be able to work hard on something and also have a great social life which makes you fulfilled. So now I hope you know the main things that are bad for you and what is good. Hopefully you also know what you can do to make these things a reality. To make this easier, I sell video coaching, which can be on fitness, lifestyle, anything that you think you need help with. Check my products down below, you might find something that you like. Subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one. Bow.